The sun was burning hot that day. It hung in the sky like a yellow fire, burning everything below it. The dust of the desert moved like a living thing, dancing in the wind and getting into everyone's eyes, their mouths, their clothes. This was the Wild West, a place where nothing was kind and nothing was soft. Everything was hard here. The land was hard, the work was hard, and the people were hard too. The horse auction was happening at Miller's Ranch, just outside a small desert town called Silver Creek. Men had come from all over to buy horses. Horses were everything in the Wild West. A man without a good horse was nothing. A horse could carry you across empty deserts. A horse could help you work on a ranch. A horse could save your life when trouble came looking for you. And in the Wild West, trouble always came looking. The auction pen was a large wooden circle, surrounded by a fence made of old brown wood. Inside this circle, horses stood waiting. Some were beautiful, strong, and tall, with shiny coats that looked like gold or dark chocolate. Other horses were average. They had kind eyes, but nothing special about them. Men stood outside the fence, wearing dirty hats, holding money in their pockets, waiting to buy. Tom Miller, the auctioneer, was a large man with a big belly and a loud voice. He loved his job. He loved making men spend their money. He stood in the middle of the circle with a long stick in his hand, pointing at each horse and calling out prices like he was singing a song. Come on, boys. This beautiful Mari here. Look at those legs. Look at that power. Who gives me $20? $20 for this fine horse? Do I hear 20? Yes. 20. Do I hear 25? Yes. 30. $30, going once, going twice, sold, to the man with the red hat. One by one, the good horses were sold. The strong ones went first. The fast ones went next. The ones that looked like they could work hard all day and still have power left went to the richest men. With each sale, Tom Miller smiled wider. This was a good day for business. But then there was one horse left. This horse was different. Very different. Nothing about him was impressive. His coat was gray, but not the shiny gray of a young horse. It was the dull gray of ash, the gray of something old and tired and broken. His legs were thin and looked weak. One of his back legs bent a little too much when he stood. His head hung down, as if he was sad or sick or both. One of his eyes was cloudy and white, the eye of a horse that could not see very well. The horse's name was Cloud, but nobody cared about Cloud. Nobody wanted him. Tom Miller looked at this gray colt and sighed. He had hoped to sell all the horses today, but looking at Cloud, he knew it would be difficult. All right, boys, Tom Miller said, his voice not as loud and happy as before. This here is Cloud. He is, well, he has some problems. The man who owned him before left him here because nobody wanted to buy him. Cloud is lame in one back leg, and his left eye does not see good. But he is still a horse, and horses cost money. Who gives me $50 for Cloud? Nobody raised their hand. $50 was too much for a broken horse. All right, Tom Miller said, wiping sweat from his forehead. $40? Still nothing. The men looked at each other. Some looked at Cloud and shook their heads. This horse was not worth their money. $30 for this gray colt? Come on, boys. Someone has to give me $30. The silence was loud. Even the wind seemed to stop blowing. The horses still in the pen moved around, but Cloud stayed still. He just stood there, looking at the ground like he knew nobody wanted him. All right, Tom Miller said, his voice tired now. $20? $20 for Cloud? Not one hand went up. $10? Who gives me $10 for this horse? Tom Miller was starting to feel angry. This was not the way his good day was supposed to end. He looked at all the men standing outside the fence. They were rich men, poor men, young men, old men. But none of them wanted Cloud. $5. Tom Miller shouted, almost angry now. "I am giving this horse away. $5. That is almost nothing. Who gives me $5? The men stayed quiet. $5 was still too much for a horse that could not see right and could not walk right. $5 was money that could be used for food or for buying things that actually worked. Tom Miller held up his hand. He was ready to say that Cloud would not be sold today. Then something changed. A hand rose from the back of the crowd. Slowly, so slowly that at first nobody noticed it, but then they did. Everybody turned to look. The hand belonged to a man nobody had ever seen before. He stood at the back, and his face was hidden under a wide hat. His clothes were travel-worn and dirty. There was dust on his boots, the kind of dust that comes from riding for a very long time. He wore a long coat that looked like it had seen many hard days. His face was thin and serious. His eyes were dark. He did not smile. $5, the stranger said. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. It was the kind of voice that made people listen. Tom Miller's eyes opened wide. $5? Yes, I have $5. Going once, going twice. Sold, to the man in the back. The crowd made noise, surprise, confusion, maybe even a little laughter. Who was this strange man? Why would he buy the worst horse at the auction? What did he see in a broken, useless colt? The stranger walked forward slowly. He did not rush. Every step was careful and slow. He moved toward Cloud like he was walking toward something very important, something that he had been looking for a very long time. When he got close to Cloud, he stopped. He looked at the small, broken horse for a long time, just looking, just watching. Nobody else moved. Everyone waited to see what would happen. Then the stranger reached out his hand and placed it on Cloud's neck. It was a gentle touch, a kind touch. Cloud's head came up slowly. The horse looked at the man with his one good eye. And in that moment, something changed. The stranger's hard face became soft. Just for a second, it was like all the sadness he carried in his heart came to the surface. He saw something in this broken horse, something that nobody else could see. Cloud saw something in him too. The stranger and the broken colt looked at each other in silence. And that silence held a mystery that nobody there would ever understand.
Nobody saw the stranger again for 3 weeks. But stories started to come. Slowly at first, then more and more. The stories came from shepherds, from travelers, from people who worked on ranches far out in the empty land. These stories were strange. These stories made people wonder about the mysterious man and the broken horse he had bought. A shepherd named Carlos was the first to see them. Carlos took care of sheep in the hills far from town. He spent most of his days alone, with only the sheep and the wind for company. One afternoon, as the sun was getting lower in the sky, Carlos saw something moving in the distance. It was a horse and a man. The horse was gray. The man was sitting on top, moving slowly and carefully. Carlos watched as they came closer. He could see that the man was talking to the horse. Not shouting, not commanding, just talking, speaking in a soft voice, like he was having a real conversation with the animal. The man's hand moved gently on the horse's neck. The horse was moving slowly, carefully, as if the man was helping him walk in the right way. "Easy, Cloud," Carlos heard the man say. "We are almost to the water. Just a little more. You're doing good. You're doing so good." The horse seemed to understand. The horse seemed to want to do what the man was asking. There was something between them, something that Carlos could not explain. It was like they were friends, real friends, not just a man and his horse, but two beings who understood each other in a deep way. Carlos told this story in town. People listened. Some believed him. Some thought he was making it up or that the sun had confused his mind. Then a woman named Rosa saw them. Rosa worked at the trading post in Silver Creek. One day, a thin man came in. His clothes were dusty. His boots were covered in desert dirt. He looked like he had been riding for a very long time. Rosa recognized him. It was the stranger who had bought Cloud. He was quiet when he came in. He did not talk much. He just pointed at things he needed. Soft grain for horses with weak stomachs. herbs that help with pain, special oil for wounds that would not heal, medicine for eyes that could not see very well. That horse of yours, Rosa said while she was putting things in a bag. The broken one from the auction. Is he still alive? The stranger looked up. His dark eyes met hers for just a moment. Then he nodded. That was all. Just a nod. But it was enough. Rosa could see that this horse was important to him. Very important. He is getting better, the stranger said quietly. His voice was calm and sure. He was not broken because of his legs or his eye. He was broken because nobody believed in him. I believe in him. That is making all the difference. Rosa told this story to everyone in the trading post. People started to wonder, what did this stranger see in Cloud that nobody else could see? Weeks passed. Then months passed. The desert was burning hot during the day and freezing cold at night. The wind blew hard. Rain was rare. It was a place where weak things died. Weak horses died. Weak people died. Only the strong survived in the Wild West. But Cloud did not die. Cloud got better. A group of riders traveling the northern trails reported something amazing. They were moving through a place called Dead Canyon, a long stretch of empty desert with no water and no shade. The sun was burning down on them. They were tired and thirsty. And then they saw something that made them stop and stare. A gray horse was moving across the desert. But this was not the same gray horse that had been sold at the auction. This horse was strong. This horse was beautiful. Its coat shined like silver in the bright sun. Its legs were powerful and steady. It moved with grace and power, not weakness and pain. And on this horse's back sat the thin stranger. They were moving like one thing, not two. The man did not use spurs. He did not pull on the reins hard. He did not shout commands. He just moved slightly, and the horse understood. The horse responded. They moved together like a dance, like music, like they were one being that had learned to live in two bodies. The riders could not believe what they were seeing. They had never witnessed a bond like this between a man and a horse. It was not normal. It was something special, something that did not happen very often. One of the riders rode up closer to see the horse better. That horse, he said to the stranger, that gray one, is that the same horse they sold at Miller's auction? The broken one? The lame one? The stranger did not answer right away. He just looked ahead at the empty desert stretching before them. His hand rested gently on Cloud's neck. Then he spoke quietly. A horse is not broken because his legs do not work right, the stranger said. A horse is broken because nobody sees his value. Nobody sees what he could become. Everybody just sees what he is right now. I did not see that way. I saw what Cloud could be, and I helped him become it. The riders said nothing. They just watched as the stranger and the gray horse moved forward, disappearing slowly into the dust of the desert. Back in the town of Silver Creek, people talked about these stories. They tried to understand. How could a lame horse become strong? How could a horse that could not see become fast? How could a broken animal become something beautiful? Some people said it was magic. Some people said the stranger had special powers. Some people said the horse had just needed time to heal. But everyone agreed on one thing. The bond between the stranger and Cloud was not normal. It was something deeper. It was something that most people would never understand. The stranger and Cloud had found each other for a reason. A broken man had found a broken horse. And together, they were becoming whole. They were healing each other. The horse was healing the man's sad heart. The man was giving the horse the love and belief that he needed to become strong. This was not just a man riding a horse. This was something more. This was two lost souls finding each other in the empty desert and learning that they were never really broken at all. They were just waiting for someone to believe in them. And now they had found each other. The news came slowly, like a dark shadow moving across the land. It came in whispers. It came in warnings. It came from travelers who had seen things they did not want to see. Something bad was coming. Something dangerous was looking for the stranger. The first person to hear the news was the sheriff of Silver Creek. A man came riding into town fast, pushing his horse hard, making it run faster than it should. The man's face was scared. His eyes were wide. He rode straight to the sheriff's office and fell off his horse before it had even stopped moving. "They are coming," the man said, breathing hard, speaking fast. "Dark riders, bad men, looking for a thin stranger on a gray horse." They are asking questions everywhere. They are angry. Very, very angry. The sheriff listened carefully. "What do these men want?" he asked. "They say the stranger took something," the man said. "Something that belonged to them. Something important. They say he is a thief. They say he is a liar. They say they will kill him when they find him." The news spread through the town like fire. People talked about it in the market. People talked about it in the saloon. People talked about it at the trading post. The mysterious stranger on the gray horse, the one who had bought the broken colt and turned it into something beautiful, was in trouble. Big trouble. Nobody knew who this stranger really was. Nobody knew where he came from. Nobody knew what he might have done. But people liked him. They liked the story of him in Cloud. They liked the idea that a broken horse could become strong. They liked the idea that someone could believe in something when nobody else did. And now this man was in danger. Days passed. Then the Dark Riders came. They rode into town one morning, moving like storm clouds. There were 5 of them, maybe 6. It was hard to count because they moved fast. They wore dark clothes. They had dark horses. Even their faces looked dark somehow, angry and mean and ready for violence. They moved through the town, asking questions in voices that were not kind. "Have you seen a thin man on a gray horse?" they asked store owners. "Have you seen him?" they asked shepherds. "Tell us where he is, and you will not be hurt," they said to the people working on ranches. But their voices said something different. Their voices said that hurt was coming no matter what. The people of Silver Creek did not want to help these men. These men were dangerous. These men were evil. So people said they did not know. People said they had not seen anybody. People lied to protect the stranger. But one person talked. A man named Jake, who drank too much whiskey at the saloon, told the Dark Riders that he had heard the stranger was heading toward Dead Canyon. Jake did not mean to be bad. He was just stupid. He was just drunk. But his words sent the Dark Riders riding hard in that direction. The stranger did not know they were coming. He and Cloud were moving slowly through the desert, enjoying the cool evening air. The sun was getting lower in the sky, making the desert turn orange and red and purple. It was beautiful. It was peaceful. The stranger and Cloud did not know that danger was moving toward them like a fast train that could not be stopped. They were riding through a narrow place between 2 tall cliffs when they heard the sound. Hoofbeats. Many hoofbeats. Coming fast. Getting closer. The stranger turned Cloud around to see who was coming. The moment he saw the Dark Riders, he knew. He knew what this meant. He knew that his time was over. The past had caught up with him. The thing he was running from had finally found him. He did not run right away. He just sat there on Cloud, looking at the riders coming toward him. His face was sad, but not surprised. It was like he had always known this day would come. "Run!" one of the Dark Riders shouted. "We have found you." But the stranger did not run. Not yet. He looked down at Cloud and put his hand on the horse's neck. "I am sorry," the stranger said quietly. "I'm sorry I brought you into this. You did not do anything wrong. You are good and pure and strong. But I'm not good. I made mistakes. Now those mistakes are coming for me." Cloud turned his head and looked at the stranger. The horse could feel the sadness. The horse could feel the fear. But the horse did not run away. The horse stayed with the man. The horse loved the man, and love does not run away from danger. The Dark Riders were getting closer. The stranger had to make a choice. He could fight them, but there were too many. He could not win. So he did the only thing he could do. He turned Cloud around and started to run. The chase was loud and wild. Hoofbeats crashed against the hard desert ground. Dust flew up like a storm. The Dark Riders were shouting. They were angry. They wanted to catch the stranger. They wanted to bring him back or kill him. Nobody knew which. Cloud ran faster than he had ever run before. His legs, the legs that had been lame and broken, now moved like thunder. The horse was not tired. The horse was not weak. The horse was strong and fast and brave. Cloud wanted to save his friend. Cloud wanted to run so fast that nothing bad could catch them. They ran through the desert, heading toward a place called Raven's Ravine, a deep canyon with a river at the bottom and tall cliffs on both sides. The stranger was heading there on purpose. It was a place where the Dark Riders could not follow easily. It was a place where maybe, just maybe, he could escape. But as they got closer to the ravine, shots rang out. The Dark Riders had guns. Bullets flew through the air like angry birds. One shot hit Cloud in the back leg. The horse cried out in pain, but kept running. Another shot hit the stranger's arm. Blood came out, but he did not stop. They were at the edge of the ravine now. Below them, far below, there was water. There were rocks. There was darkness. It was a fall that could kill a horse. It was a fall that could kill a man. The Dark Riders were right behind them now. They were going to catch the stranger. They were going to take him. The stranger had no choice. With tears in his eyes, he whispered to Cloud, "I'm sorry, my friend. I have to let you go. You have to run. You have to live. You're too good to die because of me." And then, with a sudden movement, the stranger turned Cloud around and pushed the horse away from the ravine. Cloud did not want to go. Cloud wanted to stay with his friend, but the man he loved was sending him away. The stranger looked at the Dark Riders, looked at the ravine, and made his choice. He pulled on the reins and jumped his horse forward, not away, but toward the ravine, toward the edge, toward the fall. Cloud ran away, as he had been told to do. Behind him, he heard the shouts of the Dark Riders. He heard the sound of a horse falling. He heard silence. And then, Cloud was alone. Cloud ran through the desert for hours. His legs carried him forward, even though his heart was breaking. He did not know where he was going. He did not know what he was doing. He only knew that the man he loved had told him to run, and so he ran. The night came and covered the desert in darkness. Cloud finally stopped at a small ranch, a place where people lived and took care of animals. The ranchers found him standing outside their fence, bleeding from a bullet wound in his back leg. The horse's eyes were empty. There was no light in them. It was like the most important part of Cloud had died when the stranger fell into the ravine. The people at the ranch were kind. They were the Martinez family, a mother, a father, and 2 children. They saw Cloud's wound and brought him inside the fence. They cleaned the blood away. They put medicine on the bullet hole. They gave him water and food. But Cloud would not eat. For 3 days, Cloud stood in the pasture facing the hills. The same hills where he had last seen the stranger. The horse did not move. The horse did not run. The horse did not play. Cloud just stood there waiting, waiting for the man to come back, waiting for his friend to return, waiting for the sound of hoofbeats that would tell him everything was going to be okay. The Martinez children tried to pet Cloud. They tried to talk to him. They tried to make him happy. But Cloud did not respond. The horse would only look at the hills. "The horse is sad," the daughter, Maria, said to her mother. "Yes," the mother answered. "The horse loved his master, and his master is gone. The horse is brokenhearted." "Can a horse die from a broken heart?" Maria asked. The mother did not answer. She did not know, but she was worried that it might be true. On the 4th day, the father of the family sat next to Cloud in the pasture. He did not try to pet the horse. He did not try to talk to him. He just sat there, quietly, keeping the horse company. He understood that sometimes, when someone is grieving, what they need most is for someone to sit with them. "Just sit. Just be there. I do not know your story," the father said quietly to Cloud. "But I know you love someone. I know you lost him. That is the saddest thing in the world. But grief means love was real. Grief means you had something beautiful. Do not give up on hope. Hope is the only thing that keeps us alive when everything else is gone." Cloud did not respond, but the father sat there anyway, hour after hour, day after day. On the 5th day, the mother brought special food to Cloud. Not the regular grain, but soft, sweet hay mixed with molasses. It smelled good. It was meant to help sick animals feel better. Cloud still did not eat much, but he ate a little, a very little. It was a small sign, a tiny spark of hope. On the 6th day, Maria stayed in the pasture all day long. She sang songs to Cloud. She told him stories about her life. She told him about her dreams. She told him about how sad she was sometimes and how she got through it by thinking about things she loved. Cloud listened. The horse could not understand the words, but he could understand the kindness. He could understand the love in her voice. And then came the 7th night. The moon was full and bright, making the desert glow like it was made of silver. Everyone in the Martinez house was asleep. Cloud was standing alone in the pasture, looking at the hills as he always did. And then he heard it. Hoofbeats. A single horse. Moving slowly. Moving carefully. Like it was hurt. Like it was tired. Like it was pushing itself forward even though every part of it wanted to stop. Cloud's head came up. The horse's tired eyes opened wide. The light came back into those eyes. Hope came back. A figure appeared in the darkness. It was a man on a horse. A thin man. A familiar man. The man that Cloud had thought was gone forever. The stranger. He was alive. The stranger's left arm hung at his side. It was bandaged. He was hurt. His face was thin and pale. He was moving slowly like everything hurt. But he was alive. Somehow, he had fallen into the ravine and lived. Somehow, he had found his way back. Somehow, his love for Cloud had been stronger than death. The stranger climbed down from his horse slowly, painfully. Every movement showed that he was hurt. His leg shook. His arm hurt. But he kept moving forward. He kept walking toward Cloud. Cloud did not run to meet him. The horse could not move. It was like all the feeling, all the sadness, all the grief, all the hope was frozen inside him. Cloud just stood there as the stranger walked closer and closer. When they were face to face, they did not move. They did not touch. They just looked at each other in the moonlight. The man's dark eyes met the horse's good eye. In that moment, everything that had happened, all the pain, all the separation, all the fear disappeared. There was only love, only the bond that could never be broken. The stranger reached out his hand slowly. He placed it on Cloud's neck. Then he moved his head forward, and he placed his forehead against the horse's forehead. They stood like that in the silver moonlight. A broken man and a horse that had been called worthless. Two souls that had found each other. Two beings that had saved each other. No words were spoken. No words were needed. Words cannot explain what happens when two spirits are connected so deeply. Words cannot explain how one living thing can love another so much that even death cannot separate them. Maria was watching from a window. She had woken up when she heard the hoofbeats. She watched as the man and the horse stood together in the moonlight. Tears ran down her face. She understood something without anyone telling her. She understood that she was witnessing something sacred, something holy, something that only happens once in a lifetime. The stranger and Cloud stood like that for a long time, just breathing, just existing together, just being grateful that they had found each other again. But the stranger could not stay. The dark riders were still looking for him. As the night got deeper, he pulled away from Cloud. The horse tried to follow, but the stranger shook his head. "I have to go," the stranger whispered, "but I will always come back. Always. That is my promise to you. No matter how far I go, no matter how long it takes. Love like ours does not die. It does not fade. It only grows stronger." Cloud watched as the stranger climbed back onto his horse and rode away into the darkness. But this time, Cloud was not broken. Cloud was not sad. Cloud knew the truth now. Some bonds run deeper than death. Some loyalty cannot be broken by pain or blood or loss. Love is the strongest force in the world, and that love would bring them together again. Years passed, many years. The Wild West changed slowly. Towns grew bigger. Railways came through. The frontier became less wild. But the story of the stranger and the gray horse never died. It grew bigger and stronger. It spread from person to person, from town to town, from generation to generation. People who had never seen the stranger and Cloud themselves heard the stories. They heard them from shepherds. They heard them from ranchers. They heard them from travelers who had witnessed something impossible in the desert. The stories changed a little with each telling. Some people said the stranger and Cloud could fly. Some people said they could disappear like ghosts. Some people said they were magical. But the heart of the story, the true story, remained the same. A broken horse and a mysterious man had found each other. Together, they had become something more than either of them could have been alone. The Martinez family kept Cloud safe for many years. The bullet wound in his leg healed completely. Cloud became the strongest, most beautiful horse in the whole region. But more than that, Cloud became famous. People came from other towns just to see the gray horse with the impossible story. They came to touch his neck and feel the bond that had saved a life. Maria, the young girl who had sung to Cloud in the darkness, grew up remembering that magical night when the stranger had returned. When she was older, she had children of her own, and she told them the story. She told them about the man and the horse. She told them that love could save us from anything, even death. She told them that broken things could become beautiful if someone believed in them. Every few years, people reported seeing the stranger and Cloud in different places. A merchant traveling through the northern deserts said he had seen them moving through a dust storm, moving like they were one being, not separate at all. A woman working at a trading post said a thin man had come in and bought medicine and supplies, and his gray horse was waiting outside, watching the door, making sure nothing bad happened to his master. A young boy who had gotten lost in the desert said that a man on a gray horse had found him when he thought he was going to die. The man did not speak. He just pointed the way home. When the boy looked back to thank him, the man and horse were already disappearing into the distance like a dream. People tried to catch up with the stranger. People tried to ask him questions. Who was he? Where did he come from? What was his real name? But the stranger never stayed long enough to answer. He appeared and disappeared like a ghost, like something that was not quite real. But he was real enough to help people, real enough to save lives, real enough to show the world that love was more powerful than anything else. Some people said the stranger was running from his past. Some people said he was looking for something he had lost. Some people said he was an angel who had been sent to teach the world a lesson about loyalty and love. Nobody knew the truth. And perhaps that was the most important thing about the legend, the mystery, the not knowing, the feeling that there was something deeper and more magical happening than what anyone could explain. One story was told more than any other. It was the story of a young girl named Sarah who had fallen off a cliff while riding her horse. She was hurt badly, very badly. The doctors said she would not survive. Her family was sitting by her bed in the darkness, waiting for the end. Then, in the middle of the night, they heard a noise outside. A horse neighing, a man's voice, quiet and gentle. When the family went to see what was happening, they found a thin man on a gray horse standing in the yard. The man did not speak. He did not explain anything. He just looked at them, and in his eyes, they saw something that told them not to give up hope. They saw strength. They saw belief. They saw love. That very night, the girl's fever broke. The next day, she started to get better. Within a week, she was alive. She lived a full, long life. When she was old and had children and grandchildren, she would tell them about the night the stranger and the gray horse saved her life. She would tell them that miracles were real. She would tell them that sometimes the universe sends help in the form of a mysterious man and a beautiful horse. 40 years after the stranger bought Cloud at the auction, a writer named James Harrow came to the Wild West. He was writing a book about the history of the frontier. He heard the stories about the stranger and Cloud everywhere he went. He became fascinated. He spent months traveling through the desert, asking people about what they had seen and heard. James Harrow never found the stranger. He never met Cloud, but he gathered so many stories that he wrote a whole book about them. The book was called The Man Who Saw Worth in Broken Things, a legend of the Wild West. It told the story of a man who could see the good in things that everyone else had thrown away. It told the story of how love could heal the deepest wounds. It told the story of a bond that was stronger than death. The book made the legend even bigger. People who had never been to the Wild West read about the stranger and Cloud. They read about the poor colt that had become powerful. They read about the broken man who had found wholeness through loving an animal. They read about miracles that happened when someone believed when nobody else did. And then one day, nobody knows exactly when, the sightings of the stranger and Cloud stopped. They were never seen again. Some people said they had finally found peace. Some people said they had gone to a better place. Some people said they were still out there, somewhere in the vast deserts, still helping people who needed help, still showing the world what true love meant. But whether they were real or not, whether they still lived or had passed on to something else, their message lived forever. The stranger's lesson was simple but powerful. Do not judge something by how it looks right now. Do not judge something by what it cannot do. Look deeper. See the potential. See the worth. Believe in broken things. Believe in broken people. Because sometimes broken things just need someone to believe in them. They just need love. They just need one person to see what they could become. Cloud's lesson was just as important. Love without condition. Love without fear. Love your friends so completely that you would follow them into death. Love so purely that you would wait in darkness. Love so strongly that you would recognize your beloved even if you had never seen them before. In the Wild West, where everything was hard and cruel and cold, the stranger and cloud taught the world something beautiful. They taught that love was real. They taught that loyalty never dies. They taught that one broken horse and one broken man could change the world. Years became decades. Decades became 100 years. But the story never died. Even today, when people see a thin man on a gray horse moving through empty places, they wonder, is it the stranger? Is it Cloud? Is it their spirits still riding, still helping, still showing the world what love means? Nobody will ever know for sure. And that is the most beautiful part of all. Some legends are stronger than truth. Some bonds outlive death. Some stories never end because they teach us something we need to remember forever, that every broken thing has worth, and every lost soul can be saved by love. The stranger and Cloud taught us that, and that is why we will never forget them.